Hello, this is Mr. Lundgren. For today's art lesson for elementary students or beginner adults, we are going to be looking at some chalk drawings. Now, people have been drawing on their sidewalks during the school closure, and they've had some really cool ideas. Now, some professional artists have been doing it too, and I want to show you some of their work. So this is from an artist named Casey Drake, and look what he is doing on his sidewalks. Pretty impressive. There's no place like home. No, seriously, stay home. Oh, you're tired of social distancing? That's cute. And we've got Rapunzel, who's been in her tower for years. Wake me up when this is over. This octopus that has to wash every one of his tentacles each time he goes out. And we've got Ariel here. Well, what we're going to do for our chalk drawing today is a digital chalk drawing, and they've actually been turning out really well, where you take an image of a sidewalk, you bring it into your computer or tablet, and we do our drawing on top. So here's an example of a chalk drawing. You saw the Yoda example earlier. You can do an emoji chalk drawing. You can bring in your favorite superhero character or book character or any character that you'd like, and we are going to put them on a sidewalk today. Okay, first thing is you've got to have an image of a sidewalk. If you're in the YouTube community, what you can do is either photograph your sidewalk and bring it in, or you can do a search for sidewalk texture, S-I-D-E-W-A-L-K, texture, and click on images, and you can choose one of these images as your sidewalk texture. Just find one that looks like a plain sidewalk that you can use. Alright, once you have your sidewalk texture, so for my students, you can download the provided texture, and it's probably going to end up in your downloads folder. I'll have this inside the Google Classroom, and you can follow along from there. So first thing you're going to do, open a new window and go to Kleki.com. Go to File over here on the right, click on Import, and you'll navigate to wherever your saved sidewalk picture is. So it could be in the downloads folder or somewhere else on your computer or tablet. Once you find it, just click it and push open. Import as image. So your choices are as layer or as image. Just do as image, and it's going to say you're going to lose your progress if you open it, but hopefully you don't have any progress yet because we haven't brought it in. So I'm going to push yes here. And it has created a new document with my sidewalk texture as the background. Okay, so pause this if you need to do that, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, for the next step, come to your Layers palette, push the New Layer button. So we've got the one layer of the sidewalk in the background, and now we have your new layer on the top. This is where we're going to put our line drawing. Go to the brushes, choose the regular brush, it's on the bottom left here, and choose a starting size, maybe about here. We're going to start with black. And for the lines, we don't want it very see-through, maybe just a little bit see-through like this for the line work. And then we want to choose this brush, which is the closest to a chalk brush. So I'm going to choose this here. And then you can open a new window or tab in your browser, and you'll kind of set it aside, and you'll pull up whatever you're trying to copy. So in this case, I found this cute little picture of Baby Yoda, and I'm going to base my chalk drawing off of the Baby Yoda. All right, so make sure you're on your correct layer. You've got your brush ready to go, and you just test it out. So I'm going to do a little test here. That looks pretty good. I think I want my brush a little bigger. Yeah, that's a better brush for my starting size. So I'm going to click on undo, and now I'm ready. So first I'm looking at the basic shapes. So we've got The basic shape of Baby Yoda's head is just like a sideways oval, so I'm going to put that in. If you are working with a mouse, you'll want to go slow like this, and you might make some mistakes at first. If you do, it's all right. You don't have to erase the whole thing. Just erase the part that you don't like. So I don't like that part. I'll erase that. Click back on my brush, and that's pretty good. Okay, so I've got my sideways oval. Next, I need a line coming out for the ears. So it's close to the top. It starts about here. I'll put the line here and here. So if you haven't got this much yet, just pause the video and you can continue when you got this. Next, we're going to connect the ears back to the body. So I'm adding this interesting curve down here. And I'll kind of mirror that curve on the other side like this. Then we're going to show the thickness of the ear. That's this part to show how thick the ear is. And I think I'm going to turn my size down a little bit and I'll get a little closer. Put in the thickness of the ear here and the thickness of the ear here. Okay, that's pretty good. Then let's do the eyes. So we've got these, they're kind of like sideways ovals that come to points. So I'll put a sideways oval here. Let's see what that looks like. I think I want him to have bigger eyes. So remember to undo. You can click this button if you need to undo. So we're going to have nice large eyes. Let me do an upside down U, or like an arc to start. I think that will be helpful to get this eye shape. And then I'll curve back like that. Yeah, that was a little more helpful. I'm going to zoom in even closer. I'm going to turn my brush size down even more. I'm going to put in the shape for his iris. And I'll do the shape for his pupil. Looks like he has really large pupils here. Probably like this. Okay. So I can leave that for now. Can work on the shape of his nose. It'll come about here. I'm going to do a curve on the right, a curve on the left. I'll come up on the bottom right. I'll come up on the bottom left. And a little dip down for the center. Okay. It's a cute little Baby Yoda nose. Now I'm going to sort of put in the cheeks. So I'll add this curved line for one cheek, this curved line for another cheek, and you can work on the expression. If you want to smile, you can do the little curve like this. I'm going to try to match this little expression here. So it's like a half frown, but it curves up in the middle, sort of like a smile. Oh, he's going to need more space there between where the nose is, so maybe about here. Maybe like that. And then this little tiny bottom lip. There we go. That's cute. All right, now is the time where you would look for any extra details that you'd want to add. For example, you could sort of outline around the eyes again to show this little wrinkle below the eye and sort of showing the eyelids here. Could add those. He's got this little wrinkle on the sides here. I'm going to wrap around and make those eyelids on the bottom too. Maybe make that little curve there. Then he's got these little wrinkles in his foreheads you can do. I'm a little low on forehead space personally, but if you have the room, actually I think I'll just I'll give myself the room. How about that? I'm going to erase the top of the head. I'm going to make my brush larger again, about like this. I'm going to give myself just a little more room for his cute little baby Yoda wrinkles. I'm going to shrink my brush down. Okay. There's some little baby Yoda wrinkles, and maybe I'll round out the cheek on this side as well. Can round it out on this side as well. He's got these little baby jowls coming down. So these extra details are optional. You can keep it simple or more detailed. It's up to you. Okay, that's looking pretty cute for a baby Yoda. All right, now I think we can put in his little outfit. He's got what looks to be like an oversized scarf, this part of his costume. I'll go for a little larger brush size again, maybe about here. And I'll put in the scarf. Now remember, if you're having trouble following along, remember to pause the video. I noticed that some students were trying to just draw with the video without pausing when they were working on a tricky area. That was making them fall a little bit behind, and they were skipping some of the best parts of the lesson because they sort of fell behind a little bit. You can pause and go back as many times as you need. So I've got the scarf here in 2 pieces. Then he's got his little sleeves coming down, oversized sleeves with the little, this cloth is larger on the ends of the sleeve, about like this. And I'm just looking off of my sample, copying the details that I see. So if you're choosing a different image to draw from, you're looking for the simple shapes first, and then you're going in later and putting in these small little details. Okay, maybe a little bit of his hand. I don't really show his hands in mine. They're kind of going off the page, and that's all right because it's mostly about his little face here, because he's so cute. Okay, I'm going to zoom out on that for a little bit. All right, good. So we could also, on this layer, start our message, but I think I'm going to do the message later. I think I'm going to worry about my baby Yoda right now. Okay, so now I'll come to the layers palette, and I have the sidewalk layer, and I have the line layer. Now I want a layer for color, so it's got to be a layer that's in between these 2 layers. So when you create a new layer, make sure that that new layer goes in between the background and the line layer. So it's going to be in between, and this will be my color layer. You can rename them if you want to help you stay organized. So I think I'll go ahead and do that. I'll call this my line layer. Here's my color layer, and I'll call this the sidewalk layer. Okay, so we're on the color layer in between. Now, oops, I don't need that. Okay, wrong one. I meant to click here. Now, we can make the brush size a little larger, and you want to turn the opacity lower so it looks more like chalk when you're drawing in the middle. And we'll give him, I know he looks a little bit blue in here. We'll give him kind of a greenish blue color, because when people think about Yoda, they usually remember him being green. So I'll choose a color that's kind of in between, about here. I've got my larger size brush, my lower opacity, and I'm on the chalk brush type here. And I'm going to fill in Baby Yoda with this chalky color. Chalky green color. About like this. And notice, since we put the layer behind the lines, it's not covering up the lines. The black lines are above the color layer, so those are staying. We're not covering them up. And let's see, Baby Yoda has a little bit of pink in his cheeks and in his ears. You can skip this part if you want to keep it simple, but if you want to detail it a little more, you can add the pink. Make sure your opacity is nice and soft, because it's not very much pink. It's just a little bit. Here's some pink here. There's some pink here. And there's some pink on the inside of the ears too. There we go. How cute. We can do the eyes. Now I've kind of made his eyes a little more generic than here. And sometimes when you make something into a cartoon, you've got to find ways to simplify it a little bit. So I'm going to go to the white here. I think I'm going to turn my opacity up for the eyes a little bit. Because the eyes they're important. They need to be a little stronger. This area is white. This area is kind of a golden amber color or a green color. I suppose you can change it up if you want to. So maybe about here for me. I'll put it around the eyes like this. And then this middle section is a pupil. So I'm going to turn my opacity up, and we're going to make that black in the middle. All right. And we need a highlight. He's cute. His eyes are huge. They're going to catch some light. So I think I'll put a highlight maybe on the left side of the eye here, like that. Here's my highlight. Now, if I want to show the lighting on Baby Yoda, see how it's lighter from above, I can go back to a turquoisey green color, and I'll make it lighter and lighter and lighter by clicking more toward the top. I'm going to turn my opacity way down, make my brush size higher, and I can make it lighter on the top of the head. He's got a little light on the tip of his nose. Maybe a little light catching on this cheek here. A little bit of light catching on the tip of his eyelid here. Some light on the tips of the ears here. It's light coming from above. And if you need to do some blending, remember you can go to the blending brush, turn your opacity all the way down, turn your blend number all the way up here. Get a brush size that you like, about the size of your finger for some smudging. And you can blend colors together that need a little blending. All right, for his robe, we need at least 2 different types of tan. So we'll go for, let's come in between the yellow and the orange, kind of in the yellow-orange area. We'll choose a mid-tan. This is like our base color here. And I'll make my brush size a little larger. That's not the right color. Oh, I'm still in blending mode. It picked up the neck and was blending that. So I'm going to my regular brush. I'm going to turn the size up here. Keep my opacity nice and low. And I'll use this for the robe. I think I need to turn that opacity a little higher. There we go. Okay. Gonna put it in loose so it looks a little chalky. Then I will turn my opacity down and choose a darker color here for some shadow. You can try to match the shadows that you see in the picture. You can turn your brush larger or smaller. You can push Edit Undo if you have a mistake, the Undo button up here. If you make a mistake, or you can erase because it's on its own layer. It won't affect the sidewalk. And we can blend it. Opacity all the way down, blending all the way up. And if we want, we can do a highlight color as well for the robe. Okay, now the secret to make it look even more chalky would be to come back to your layers. I'm on my color layer now, and I can turn the opacity down so where it's not as opaque, so it's more see-through, more transparent. I'm pulling this down to be able to see through the color to the chalk texture a little more. And I can do the same on my lines, but maybe not as much. I'm just kind of experimenting and see what it looks like here. Well, that looks pretty good. They are both around the upper 80s. Okay, that makes my little Yoda a little more see-through for to look a little more like some chalk art. Now is where you get to come up with your message. You can either put it on a new layer or do the letters on the line layer and the background color on your color layer. So I think maybe I'll do a new layer. Might as well. And I'll make the letters dark green. And I believe for the sample I did "Stay home you must." So we can continue with that. Or you can come up with your own saying. And need the opacity turned way up. Let's see, stay. There we go. And I can put a layer underneath that for the background color. So I can go with maybe a nice bright yellow. Make my size larger. I'll turn my opacity down for this one. And I just want it to look like, oh, let me turn that even down even lower. I want it to look like chalk. Like someone just kind of colored with chalk behind here. And there we have it, a chalk drawing Yoda. Now you have lots of options if you remember. So we have the sun will come out tomorrow, stay home you must, COVID got me like wearing a mask, don't forget your mask. So these are your chalk drawings today. So you come up with your character design, do the outlines first, put the color on a second layer, and don't forget how to bring in your sidewalk texture. You go to File, Import, but you've got to save your old one first or it gets overwritten. So I'm clicking the Save button, and this is what you'll turn into me. So when you download your image and you're going to turn it in and you go to attach, you'll just kind of drag this in to attach to the assignment. So I can see them. I would love to see your chalk drawings. Hope everyone is staying safe. Have a great week. Enjoy your art project.